My advice to Barron is you are the most watched person. You're probably the most watched bachelor in the world right now. Just be careful. Be careful. There are a lot of eyes on you, and he'll probably become the most eligible bachelor anywhere in the world. So.
Eric Trump has just revealed some deeply guarded family secrets about his father's relationship with his much younger half-brother, Barron Trump. Before now, the world knew Eric and his older brother, Don Jr., as the frontmen of the Trump empire. But Eric's unexpected comments are now pointing in a new direction, one that no one saw coming. But what exactly did he say about Barron and their father? Why did he sound so jealous about it? And what is Trump's and Melania's position in all of it? It all started during an interview on First Class Fatherhood. Donald Trump's second son, Eric Trump, was on the conservative podcast, discussing his family, business, and of course, all the usual political talks. Then, when the interviewer popped a question about his baby brother Barron, Eric admitted he was a little jealous that Barron had surpassed him. Surprisingly, it was not in fame or intelligence, but in height. You see, at 6'5", Eric once had the Trump height crown, but now Barron is at least 2 inches taller. He joked that Barron has taken his place, and their father now calls him the shortest son. While Eric laughed that off, the message behind it goes beyond the physical height. That single comment subtly highlighted something much deeper. Barron has arrived. The once silent, protected youngest Trump is no longer the mysterious kid no one knows nearly nothing about. He's now physically towering over every single member of the Trump family, and perhaps symbolically too. And this comes at a time when the Trump name is undergoing a generational transition. You see, Eric and older brother Donald Trump Jr. have stood next to their father and have long been the standard bearers of the Trump empire. They run businesses together and literally defend the Trump brand with their lives. But the thing is, with that kind of exposure comes a lot of wear and tear. Over time, both Eric and Don Jr. have collected political scars, media backlash, and tabloid drama. Barron, on the other hand, is still very much untouched. He's like a clean slate, a new beginning. He has remained that way because, according to some inside sources, his mother, Melania, deliberately kept him away from the spotlight for most of his childhood. But now he's gradually coming into the limelight, taller, older, and people are noticing. In another interview, Eric himself described Barron as the most watched bachelor in the world, because the level of attention on Barron is far greater than anything he or Don Jr. experienced at that age.
My advice to Barron is you are the most watched person. You're probably the most watched bachelor in the world right now. I'm really lucky. When I was a bachelor, we had a lot of attention on us, but not quite the attention that he'll have, especially if in 12 days we win. But
Barron is coming on board when Trump is not just an international business mogul, but a two-time president of the United States. In Eric's own words, all eyes are on him, and he has some advice for him because fame within their family and, of course, everywhere else comes with a price.
Just be careful. Be careful. There are a lot of eyes on you, and he'll probably become the most eligible bachelor anywhere in the world. And so
Eric seems to be very affectionate towards Barron, but guess who else is even more affectionate towards him? Donald Trump himself.
What can you tell us about Barron from your point of view?
Well, he's very smart. He's a good student and all that. He goes to a great school and does really well. And he's a very nice guy. You see that. Mm-hmm. He's a very he doesn't mind being alone, but he's somebody that gets along with people. He loved having you that night. I saw you. I was at a different table. I said, look at Barron. He's really having a good time.
Now, a lot of people have been asking who Trump's favorite son is and which of his sons he has the closest relationship with. Well, let's go back to this viral clip of Barron and Trump from years ago when Barron was still a toddler.
Goodbye. I want all A's.
Okay.
Okay, all A's. And when you get older, what are you going to remember? No no alcohol, no cigarettes. And you know what else? No tattoos. I don't ever want to see tattoos on you.
You could tell he's really fond of him. There was this tone of expectation, like he already saw something special in him. Years later, he still had that expectation, and that's probably why he dismissed the idea of him having a girlfriend in this more recent interview.
Is he good with the ladies in school?
Well, I don't think, I'm not sure.
Is he there yet? Or?
I'm not sure he's there yet. No, I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Well,
I don't think he's had a girlfriend yet.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. Every once in a while,
he's a good-looking guy. He's a good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy. Yeah,
he's got the swagger. He's a good troller. He's funny. He's witty. Last question for
And
you.
I have good kids. I mean, my kids are good.
That was a typical protective dad who still sees his youngest son as innocent, untouched by the craziness of this world. Now, compared to how Trump speaks about his other kids, with pride, yes, but also with a sense of they've been through the war. His words about Barron always sound more tender, more hopeful, and more loving. So Eric's comments about Barron's height may seem like a joke, but when you look at them alongside the moments Barron shares with Trump, a picture starts to form. Barron might just be the one Trump sees as the future, and a lot of things in his childhood make it all come together. Most people only see the bits and pieces of Barron Trump's life. A quick wave beside his father, maybe a glance at a photo here and there. But behind the cameras, behind the White House gates, Barron lived a childhood very few could imagine. When Donald Trump won the 2016 election, Barron was the youngest Trump at just 10 years old, and he eventually became the youngest child to live in the White House in decades. In fact, the last boy to grow up in that house was John F. Kennedy Jr., all the way back in 1961.
Don't
Eric is
discount
top.
one thing about Barron Trump. I mean, you guys all kind of were novices. You came to this, you know,
You're
in
right.
2016. You guys were in real estate. You guys were in other businesses.
Been watching the whole time.
Barron Trump was
Yeah.
raised in the White House.
Yeah.
He's the only Trump child that literally grew up in the White House.
That's right.
So his perspective is vastly different from probably everybody else's.
And that's because he spent the most time with both parents. But here's the thing, Barron didn't even move into the White House right away. While most presidential families relocated as soon as the election was over, his mother Melania made a different decision. She stayed behind in New York with Barron for several months, just so he could finish his school year at Columbia Grammar and Preparatory School. It was a very simple decision, but it said a lot. Melania was determined to give her son something close to normal, even while the world around them was changing fast. And once they finally moved into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, life didn't suddenly get more glamorous. It got more intense. For most kids, childhood is filled with exciting memories of going to soccer practices, birthday parties, and some messy afternoons in the backyard. But for Barron, there were Secret Service agents watching every move. His life was confined inside the most famous house in the world, and every time he stepped outside, there were prying eyes of cameras watching. But even with that attention, we barely saw him. Unlike Sasha and Malia Obama, who occasionally joined their parents at events or gave the world little glimpses of their personalities, Barron was mostly missing in action, and that wasn't by accident. Melania made it her mission to ensure he grew up as far away from the political chaos as possible, and for the most part, she succeeded. Still, that didn't stop the internet from talking, because when you're the child of one of the most polarizing presidents in modern history, silence alone cannot protect you. It can only make you look mysterious at best, which would get even more people talking. And that was the case for Barron. Online forums, gossip blogs, and even some comedians started speculating about him. With time, the theories went from subtle, harmless comments to downright cruelty.
It's Saturday Night Live! Meanwhile, the Saturday Night Live writer who targeted Barron in a cruel joke has been suspended by the show. Katie Rich also apologized for what she called her insensitive tweet. "I deeply regret my actions and offensive words," she now says. "It was inexcusable and I'm so sorry."
Some people poked fun at his serious expression. Some accused him of being odd just because he wasn't constantly smiling. And in the worst cases, they dragged him into wild conspiracy theories, all without him saying a single word. It got so bad that his family members had to step up to defend him.
Ivanka Trump is praising her 10-year-old brother Barron after he was targeted by social media bullies. Referring to this cute video of Barron playing peekaboo with her infant son, Ivanka tweeted, "My youngest brother proves he's a baby whisperer."
Even people who weren't Trump supporters started speaking out too. They made it clear that kids, especially minors, should be off limits no matter what the situation is.
Ivanka's words of support come on the heels of Chelsea Clinton saying, "Barron Trump deserves the chance every child does, to be a kid." Even Monica Lewinsky is pitching in. She tweeted, "All children need to be protected from bullying and mockery, including Barron Trump. Let's be better than this."
But through all, Barron stayed completely silent. That silence, however, wasn't a weakness. Now that he's stepped into adulthood, it's clear that while he stayed quiet, he was paying attention. In May 2024, Barron graduated from Oxbridge Academy, and what came next really caught people's attention. Instead of attending the University of Pennsylvania, like almost everyone else in his family, Barron chose a different path. He enrolled at New York University's Stern School of Business, one of the top business schools in the country. This was a statement that Barron wasn't here to repeat what the rest of the family had already done. He was choosing a path that fit him, and his parents fully supported him. While Wharton has long been a symbol of the Trump brand, NYU represents something different: independence, innovation, and a more modern approach to business. Meanwhile, what does Barron actually do when he's not studying? Well, for starters, he's a gamer, a big one at that. Like many Gen Z kids, Barron is reportedly obsessed with online gaming. FIFA, Call of Duty, strategy games, you name it, he's probably played it. And it's not just a hobby for him. Insiders say he's actually really good. He's even dabbled in game design, working on small tech projects behind the scenes. It's the kind of interest that fits perfectly with his quiet, analytical personality. He's also into sports, and with his height, that makes total sense. Standing at 6 feet 7 inches, Barron has played basketball at school and has always had a soft spot for soccer. Unlike his dad, who's more into golf and football, Barron prefers high-energy, fast-paced sports. But beyond gaming and sports, Barron's got a real thing for tech. Donald Trump himself once admitted that Barron is the most tech-savvy person in the family. He said he's good with computers, understands systems quickly, and picks up on things that leave older generations scratching their heads.
But is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I'd try turning off his car, I'd turn it off, I'd turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later, he's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad. No, he's got an unbelievable aptitude in technology.
That tech-savvy instinct would soon play a much bigger role than anyone expected. During his 2024 comeback presidential campaign, President Trump and his team were pretty going about his campaign the old school way. But unbeknownst to them, Barron was cooking up some game-changing digital strategies. He understood that traditional media alone wasn't going to cut it. He understood that if his father wanted to win over a new generation of voters, he needed to speak their language, not with boring speeches or edited recorded interviews, but with real conversations on platforms the Gen Zs actually trust. People within that age bracket hardly watch cable news, but they are on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, and podcasts. So Barron pushed for a new direction.
Yeah, he's really smart. He's very cool, very entertaining. He's his father's son. Like, there's no doubt about it. And he's going to do really incredible things. I think you've already seen so far. He's really come in, and there have been many times I've been traveling over the course of the campaign with my father-in-law in the car with him going places, and Barron will call and he'll say, Dad, I have an idea as to how you can get more votes. And it'll be, you need to go meet, go to this baseball stadium or do this, whatever. Wow. He's always throwing ideas out there. And so, we got to give Barron some serious credit.
He advised his father to ditch the old playbook and start showing up where young people actually hang out. He recommended platforms like Logan Paul's Impulsive, Joe Rogan's Experience, and Theo Von's This Past Weekend. Now, these aren't places you usually find presidential candidates, but they're exactly where younger audiences are paying attention.
With cable, you don't have that. Cable's different. But, it's just a different deal. But with the networks, they give those licenses, they're worth billions of dollars. They give them out free, but you have to be honest and all. That was bad. I think that David Muir and that woman that was aside, I never even heard of her, but they kept interrupting me. It was like, I said, how many people am I debating here? I got this one and I got you two. But he went after me 11 different times. It's interesting. I always thought he was a nice guy, but he's just like the rest of them,
Well, that's his job, unfortunately, and I'm sure
but not when they're
what they
wrong.
want. You're right. What was the strategy behind that? And did you think it was going to increase the deficit by a substantial amount?
Okay, we were ready to rock. It was all, I had a bad system. We had horrible tax policy. I made it great with a much lower tax rate. So I took it from almost 40% down to 21%. Now I'm bringing it from 21 down to 15, but only if you make your product in the United States.
Barron's strategy worked, and these appearances turned out to be game changers. Trump's episode on Joe Rogan's podcast alone pulled in over 57 million views from an audience, most of whom had never tuned into a political rally in their lives. But Barron didn't stop there. Some inside sources said he also hosted invite-only dinners at Mar-a-Lago with influencers, comedians, and digital creators. They shared ideas on how to reposition the Trump brand for a new generation, and the results spoke for themselves. Exit polls after the election showed a noticeable swing among young male voters under 30. This was a group that had leaned away from Trump in previous cycles, but this time they showed up for him because the message reached them. And while Donald Trump was still the face of the campaign, many believe Barron was the one who understood how to speak their language. Even Donald Trump gave credit where it was due.
And then I have a very tall son named Barron. Has anyone ever heard of that? Thank you. He knew the youth vote. You know, we won the youth vote by 36 points. And he was saying, Dad, you got to go out and do this one and that one. And we did a lot of them. And he respects them all. He understood them very well. And he said, Dad, you got to go out, do Joe Rogan, do all these guys. And we did. We did. And Joe Rogan was great. They were all great, right?
That was such a proud father moment. When President Trump was finally back in the White House, Barron was right there, calm, composed, and visibly respected. His influence had shaped the path that got them there. Now there's no telling how big a role he'll play in what comes next. At this point, Barron is no longer a mysterious Trump kid. He's 19 now. We have seen some parts of him we never knew existed, and every move he makes from here on will matter because his last name is Trump, and the weight of that name comes with overwhelming expectations. Now he could decide to take the classic Trump route: business, real estate, maybe even politics. He certainly has the height, the looks, and the last name for it. But based on everything we've seen so far, Barron's not one to follow the crowd. He's the kind who watches, learns, and executes from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
How is Barron?
He's so cool. That's like the one word I'll use for Barron. He's very cool. He's like the sleeper a little bit. You know, he's kind of stayed out of the spotlight, probably intentionally.
It's very hard to do so when you're 6'10", by the way.
It's a little hard to do. I
Yeah,
know.
you kind of stick out.
It's funny, when I saw him on stage, I'm used to my husband and my father-in-law like being the tallest people. And then I saw like a clip of us all walking on stage the other night, and I was like, God, Barron makes us all look so little, which is okay with me because I'm 5'11". I don't mind taking a little bit off. Yeah, he's really smart. He's very cool, very entertaining. He's his father's son. Like, there's no doubt about it. And he's going to do really incredible things.
So maybe the real story here is that Barron isn't planning to be the next Trump. Maybe he's going to take an entirely different route. But do you think Barron is Trump's favorite child, and why? Do you think Barron would consider wearing his father's political hat in the future? And do you see any signs that Trump is intentionally preparing him for that? Feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like the ones on your screen right now. Click on any of the cards on your screen to watch more of our videos.